Hi, I'm Dave Roberts and this is Angling Escapades. Hi there and welcome to Angling Escapades, and you join me today on March the 14th, which any coarse anglers will know is the end of the fishing season for coarse fish on rivers. And so we're out for one last go. You join me, you can see Hereford Cathedral in the background, so I'm on the tennis court section of the river, which I have to say has taken a bit of a battering in recent weeks with the huge floods we've had. So we've had like the tennis courts, as you'll know if I turn you around here. This is the Bishop's Meadow and there's just all kinds of flood debris everywhere, and we've still actually got standing water on the thing. There's Monty's here as ever, and we've got flood water, and then down here we've got one of the big old trees that line the pathway down here on the tennis courts has come down. This happened in the recent storm. Now this tree is actually right where you'd normally fish, so that's the peg there where, you know, I've actually won matches from there. It's a lovely peg, but you've got a big old tree here, and then just above that, if you can see, you've got the Victoria Bridge, and that's how high the river was actually coming through the slats on the bridge there when we had the biggest flood ever a couple of weeks ago. So it's all taken a bit of a battering, but the river itself now, as luck would have it, is looking pretty good actually, and I fancy this today. And this is probably as good as it's looked for a couple of months now, but obviously, and then, you know, at the end of today we have to finish for the close season, so I'm going to try and make the most of it. Now what I've done is I'm going to set myself up above here on this peg here. Fish just topped there, that's interesting. I wonder what that was. Anyway, so that gives us hope. So yeah, so we've got a river that's fine enough. So this peg here, normally the fish are over about 2/3 on that peg there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fish from here. I'm going to fish slightly down towards where I'd normally fish, and hope we can pick up, hope those barbel are still there, and some chub maybe as well. And I'm going to feed a float line on the inside here, because there's a good chance we'll catch some fish on the inside with a bit of colour still in the water. So basic setup's going to be feeder and a stick float, I think. I'm probably setting myself up a little bit here because with this tree coming down, unfortunately it's created quite a sort of natural leisure facility, like a playground. Every kid that walks past has to climb on it, and I have to say my kids did last week as well. So so it's probably not going to go quiet here, but I've come here early. I'm going to get started and see what we can catch, and it looks like it's going to be a nice day anyway. It's got the sun's got a real spring feel to it, you know, a bit of warmth to the sun now, so let's just hope it's a nice day to finish off the season. So I'm going to get some gear set up. Now I'm putting one stipulation on myself today. I've banged on all season about meat being the bait, and, you know, meat feeder and all these things that have been so successful for me this season. So I'm setting myself a challenge today. I'm only bought meat, nothing but meat. Okay, so I'm going to fish meat on the feeder, which I don't normally do from the start. I'll usually introduce it as the day goes on and then end up on it. Well, today I'm starting on it, and I'm just going to feed meat on the float as well. I might put some hemp. I've got some hemp. That's the only cheat I'm doing, and I'll put some hemp on the float just to sort of try and attract some fish to stay in this area, you know, sort of on the where I'm going to fish the float. So a bit of hemp on there, but other than that, it's all meat. It's a meat challenge today, and I say, let's see if we can finish the season in style. Okay, so I'm all set up, ready to go. Nice simple approach. 2 rods today, like I say, a normal meat feeder. Quite a heavy feeder on today because we've still got just under 2 meters of water on. So I've got a Drennan grip mesh feeder on there with a big add-on lead on there. So there's probably about 3.5–4 ounces of lead on there. So that should hold, hopefully, with a, you know, casting sort of 2/3 of the way across, and a big boa line in, and that should hold. and then I've just got my normal hair rigged bait band ready to put my meat on. Like I say, it's a meat challenge. That's the only bait I'm using. As you'll see from my bait tray, I've got a tin of meat ready for getting me little sausages out of for me hookers and hair rigging. I've got a couple of pints of hemp, okay, and that's just for the float line. And then all I've got is my normal chopped up meat. I've got 6 and 8mm cubes in there, and that's going to go in that grip mesh feeder and my normal meat feeder. Okay, now as I say, I don't normally start on it. Usually I sort of build into it during the session, so be interesting to see if it works straight away. But that's the challenge. I've only got meat. That's the only hook bait I'm going to be putting on today, so we'll give it a go. For the stick float, I've just set up. I've gone quite robust with this. I've got a 12 number 4 stick float, which is a normal sort of dome top, quite a big dome top on this. That's a 12 number 4 Premier dome, okay. And then I've just got strung out number 4s, and then I've just gone direct. I've got 020 mainline straight through to a nice size 11 hook. So big and robust. I mean, I'm only fishing meat, so I'm only going to realistically, I'm only going to catch chub or barbel, maybe something strange as well. But so I'm fishing for big fish, so I've set up accordingly. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put some hemp in on the float line. Perhaps put a quarter of a pint of hemp out there, just to get something on the bottom and just get some flavour on that inside line. Plenty of juice on the hemp. These tins of hemp, they do put a lot of flavour. You know, there's a lot of juice and lots of liquor on it, and it just you can see it when it goes in the water. There's lots of sort of like an oil slick comes off it. So just feel like it just puts some flavour in the water. Obviously the meat's going to be my main feed, but this gives me a little bed and a little area, because I say I'm not going to be fishing it for straight away, so it just gives us a little kick start. And I'm just putting that in a position, you know, where I think it's going to land, and it's going to sort of get into my, what I'd call my hot spot, where I think I'm going to get bites, which is down towards the, you know, going down towards the fallen tree and the cover and what have you. So put another one of them, and I'll just put an odd pouch fill in really. But mostly each cast, all I'm going to be doing is just picking up 10 or 12 pieces of meat and putting these upstream slightly, because obviously meat just sinks so slowly that that's never going to hit the bottom if I put it too high up. So just nice, just out in the flow. I'm just going to build up that trail of bait going through there, so those fish get used to meat going through the water, and hopefully by the time, you know, we go on it, they'll be used to it, and they'll have got used to that flavour, and they'll be looking out, searching out those pieces. So start on the feeder. Now those of you who've sort of watched the videos before will have seen I did a video on this meat feeder, you know, sort of the specifics of it really. But ultimately it's based around a fish hair rig, little tubes of meat. That's just like you know, just punched out with a carbon tube, homemade meat punch, like so. And by using a band as opposed to a hair stop, what I do is I just stretch the band and pull the meat through, and then obviously as I release the pressure on the band, that expands into the meat, so it just creates a real nice durable hook bait. And like I say, in a normal session I'd have probably been feeding, introducing bits of meat, maybe flicking tubes like that out with a catapult, which I'll do today, but I'd have been fishing ground bait first and maybe got the fish, certainly the barbel, interested. So this is a bit of a sort of you know, a step into the unknown, but feeder full of meat there, and that will come out at different, these grip meshes allow that meat to stay in there for quite a while, and it comes out at varying rates. So there's always a little bit just dropping out into the peg. So my line, I want to go about 2/3. Slightly down the peg as well. That's it. There's sort of a gully over the far side here where the fish tend to live, so in higher water you can catch them closer in, but I just still want to keep going into the general area they live. So I'm just letting out a nice big boa line so that holds you know, it's a nice positive method, so it doesn't have to be critically balanced. You know, I just want it so as when I get a bite, you know, that if I get a bite on a hairy piece of meat, it's going to be probably from a big fish, and it's going to be a barbel, and they'll have no problem shifting that lead. You know, they'll be, no, I'm fishing a running rig, so I'll get a reaction on my rod tip or whatever, and bite shouldn't be mistakable. And I say all I tend to do is just get, every now and again, just get an odd piece of my hook bait size meats and just flick them over. Again, meat just falls so slowly that those probably won't be hitting the bottom, but it just puts some of your hook baits out there, and the fish get used to seeing them, feeding on them. That's holding nicely out there. There's no going to be no problem holding out there with that. It is still pushing through, you know. So we've still got probably 5.5 feet of above summer level on the river. Just moving a little bit there, but that's fine. That's holding fine. I've got no problem with that. I don't really know what to do. I mean, with this method, normally I can leave it out there for quite a while because I know the meat is still in the feeder. You know, it releases meat at varying. You think if the feeder bounces a little bit, it knocks a little bit more out, and as the flow changes. But I'll know there'll still be meat in my feeder, so it is a method I do leave out there for a while now. But usually I've been sort of introducing bits during a match or during a session, so I'm not sure what to do really. I don't really. I'm just going to give each cast maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and then see. If he'll be getting the first bite, if I can get one bite, then I'm sure I'll get others. Keep feeding me inside line. This is our first bite. Doesn't feel a big fish. Feels like it could be a small chub maybe. Just a little one. Just a greedy little chub. To start though. So, I'm going to bite. Got some bait in the peg now. Hopefully we can start building something up, maybe see some bigger fish. If I was fishing the peg below, I'd probably chuck and be a little bit further over, but because I'm casting down to it, I'm not, and also on high water anyway, we wouldn't be casting so far, so I'm happy enough with that. That's a good line. And I'm saying, I'll just keep flicking a few odd little bits of meat out on, just to run over top of it as well, because I say it gets them used to those hook baits, even though those won't be hitting the bottom. Gets them used to seeing some meat trundling. Keep my float line going as well. Just building that up. I'm sure I'll get a bite on it, you know. I just really fancy it, even if it's just like that little chub I just had. I'm sure I'll get some bites on it. The bite. It's pulling back a bit harder, that one. And try and keep it away from the snags. It's pulling a bit. Could be a barbel. Not a massive fish, but pretty certain it's a barbel. It's a lot of hard work to get, you know, you're fishing, casting out, you know, 3 or 4 ounces of lead and casting it a long way, and you've got to bring the fish up and avoiding snags. Nobody said it was going to be easy. That's it, it's working its way upstream now. It's always a sign it's a barbel. Here it comes. Be careful of the stick there. Oh, come away from there, mate. There you go. Yeah, not a massive fish, but certainly fighting fit. Away from that. There we go. Nice looking fish. There we go then. Meat feeder strikes again. There we go. I'll tell you what, that's a pretty fish. Pretty colours. Just took that one up on there. Look at that for a little scrapper. Bronzy colours that one. No mark. Consider what these fish have been through, you know, record floods, debris flying everywhere. We've been finding fish on the fields. That is fighting fit, not a mark on it. Beautiful. Not a massive fish. Right, let's see if we can catch another one. Holding nicely, right, so we'll get a feed off float line. Have a little sausage out on the long line. I don't know what it is, but it's something about meat. And I say, I keep banging on about it, but it's been so successful for me this year and the last couple of years really. And I think when you find a way to feed it like this, I generally think it does spark these barbel into a bit of a frenzy. very much how it used to when we, you know, when halibut products first came on the scene. We were fishing halibut ground baits and pellets and stuff, and they used to literally be crawling up the rod for it. Maybe they've wised up to that and meat's just got something in it that just gets them going, but I say it's finding a way to feed it like this, which certainly does the trick for me. Yeah, that's a bite. Yeah, it's on, whatever it is. Well, I've been fishing a couple of hours now, and I've had a great couple of hours on this meat feeder. Barbel, chub. I've had some problems with snags. There's a lot of snags out there, whether it's snags that have moved in with the floods or whether it's just we don't normally fish from this position, so that could well be it. But I have lost a couple of fish to snags, but it's been great. It's just slowed up a little bit now. This is my first bite for about 20 minutes, so it's a little bit slower, but I'm actually itching to have a go on the float, so I think this might be a good time. If I can get this one in, might be a good time just to rest it and have a look on the float. Because I think the way they've been feeding, they've been coming in on this meat feeder. I'm sure some of them will have come into the shallow water onto the trail of meat and hemp that I'm putting in. So it's a nice day, best part of the day now. So we'll see. Feels like a decent fish. They've been generally small, the barbel I've caught. I mean, look, put up a great fight in this current, as this one is, but it feels decent enough. Be careful when I get them in close to it, because there's a tree in the water just up here, and if they just go upstream, although the barbel don't necessarily dive for snags, going in near it, they can rub the line against them and get you in all kinds of troubles. Try and keep it downstream of me. There we go. couple I've had, they've been small, but I'll tell you what, they're in some serious condition. So it's surprising with the way the river's been, all the floods and the storms and everything they've been through, but they are in such perfect condition. That's a nice fish. Absolutely mint condition. Look at that. Got a mark on it. Beautiful. So, the meat challenge. That's the first part done. I've caught on the meat feeder. So let's see if we can do it on the float now. Okay, so I've run on a stick float through now. So all I'm fishing, I've got in my meat that I've got chopped up, I've got 6 and 8 mil cubes. So the 8 mils really are ideal for a hook, size 11 hook on there. So it's just occasionally plenty of points showing, and that's just about right for that size of meat. Fish ain't going to be looking at the bait that closely. So I've been feeding a trailer bait for about 2.5 hours now. So just in case of swinging that out. A few cleans in behind you. I've been keep putting hemp in as well, just so there's a bed or something there. Really, I'm not doing much with the float. I'm just going to, just rely on the fact that I've got a flow of meat going through there. Yeah, I'm just going to really just run it through with the pace of the current. Nothing too special, too fancy with the float. Just rely on the fact that the fish have been feeding. Finding those bits on it. Meat challenge complete. There you go, that's it. Well, I've given that a right good go on the float. 3 chub, a grayling and a trout, and I lost a big chub, which is a bit disappointing. But I feel this fish there, it's just perhaps not, the presentation's not quite right or whatever. But so what I'm just going to do now is just chuck a little impact bomb, just with a couple of bits of meat tucked into the bomb. I'm going to chuck it over the top of the line where I've been fishing that meat, just to see if there's any big fish that just want it very still. Because I say, I've been feeding religiously since we started, you know, it's 3.5 hours or so of the bait going in there, so I'm sure some of those bigger fish must have moved up onto it. So what I'll do is just chuck this lead out and let it just sort of bounce round. I'll just keep feeding it the same as I was. And I'll shift the float. So I hooked one chub and it came off, so there was some big fish there, but I just fancy like a barbel. Should have moved up onto it as well, but maybe I'm being greedy. Nice, that ledge just bouncing round now. It's not holding still, it's just bouncing round, so it's slowing it down, but it's on the move as well. It'll just be settling in and hopefully at a line where some of that bait has landed. Well, that don't really work, so I think we'll get back on the meat feeder and see if we can catch a barbel. I'll keep feeding this float line and maybe have another go, but let's see if we can catch another barbel to finish up. Certainly this inside float lines have gone a bit iffy. But you never know, it might come back. couple of months. Hey, what do you reckon? You reckon you've got a piece of meat coming now, don't you? Not going to get it in though. Don't count otherwise. Here we go. Where are you? Nice one. It's going into that snag again. Come on. There we go. Lovely. And again, not massive fish, but cool, they're fighting fit. They are fighting fit. There we go. So, nice little scrapper to end up with, can't we? Oh, I think we'll end the season on that one. Well, we're into barbel number 10, I think, maybe 11, I don't know. But this will be our last fish of the season. And what a brilliant session to end the season. It's been everything I wanted. The meat challenge is complete. Although I'd like to have caught more on the float in all fairness. Maybe I'll be a bit greedy wanting a barbel on the float, but I had a couple of chub on it and a trout and a grayling. It's a bit of fun, but ultimately meat feeder winning again. This is putting up a good scrap. I tell you, I've had a lot of problem with snags today as well. They're just, you know, when you're fishing heavy feeders, like, it's not so much the barbel of aiming for the snags, it's just that the feeder gets caught up. And you just have to navigate your way around, and sometimes you have to let it go slack and let them out, but that's been a problem. Anyway, it's been about a year since we started this project, and it started off as just me giving a weekly update on river conditions really, and then pretty soon we started to try and get a bit of fishing action involved, and it's evolved, and as you've seen from the videos, we're getting, you know, better, the content's getting better, and we're all trying to make it interesting. So thank you for everyone's support this year. It's been fantastic, and I love the process, and I love it. You know, it's still a learning curve. I think we're putting interesting content together, and I hope you've enjoyed this today. But as I always say, please keep subscribing, because the subscription's it's completely free. You just press the subscribe button and it'll just give you an email or a notification just to let you know when we launch a video. But it also lets us know that we've got an audience, you know. Put that one out there. And so the subscription is important to us, and I say thank you for your support. Let's see, let's get this fish out for you. And remember, obviously we're doing, you know, we've had some wonderful days out this year. We've even as recent as yesterday, we had a guy called Mike Gallagher came and had just a wonderful day, caught a load of barbel and chub and a few fish on stick float as well, you know. And that's what we do, you know. We're trying to take some of the stigma away from this river, and just give people a helping hand to come and enjoy what the river's got to offer. So, you know, we've got summer dates available, so get in touch if it's something that interests you. And it doesn't stop for us now as well. We're salmon fishing now. We've got some of the prime spring salmon beats on the river, so if that's something you fancy, get in touch, because I say, if you catch a silver traveller, that's something special as well. So we've got dates available for that sort of thing. So yeah, so I think that's a pretty good way to end our season. still plenty of life, and these fish are in beautiful condition, really are. So there we go, that's a nice way to round off the season. Monty gets another piece of meat. Here you boy, eh? And everybody's happy. Now I'm going to end now with on a bit of a sad note really. We've recently lost one of our bailiffs on the water here, on the Hereford and District water. Anybody who visited Hereford fishing or spent any time here in recent times, off you go. Oh, there we go. Will have come across Mick Pritchard. Mick was a bailiff on the water here, and he was the spearhead to sort of putting a stop to the poaching that we were suffering maybe 12, 13 years ago, when we were getting foreigners just catching and eating everything. And Mick really sort of spearheaded that and was fearless in his fight against that. But it wasn't just that with Mick. Mick had a way of approaching people, and if people, you know, sort of, if he found people without licence, he'd always give them a second chance to put it right, to get a licence. And he just had a lovely way about him, and he had a way to communicate as well. Anyway, the camera. He could communicate with people, and he just, you know, he taught so many people so many things about this river, and he taught me personally a lot about salmon fishing. And I used to phone him up after every time I'd caught a salmon, and he'd give me the next spot to go to, and just wanted to impart that knowledge. And he'll be sadly missed, Mick will, really will. He should, you know, he's gone far too early. He was still a fit man, and should still be here, and we're all very sad. But he does leave behind a legacy, and he you know, he leaves the job he did. It showed us how you can, you know, how you can control things, but also how you can treat people and get the best out of people. So as much as he'll be sadly missed, he's remembered with fond memories. So so I'm going to dedicate this video is dedicated to Mick, because he really was a top fella, and I'll miss him lots. So bit of a sad note to end on, but like I say, Mick will be remembered very fondly, and like I say, his legacy lives on. So where we'll be next time, I don't know. Salmon fishing, I imagine, but we'll try and keep bringing you these videos, and we'll keep we might do some more technical stuff, but try and keep them interesting. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.